You've made it to the last stop on our core values journey, and that one's respect the family. And this core value really has a couple different meanings for us. First one is, look, I'm a family guy. You've heard a little bit of my story by now. I was a single dad for many, many years raising my kids. My family and my family time is very important to me. This is not a company, and maybe you've worked at a company like this in the past. I want to be super clear for you. This is not a company where there's some secret list where we say, oh, so-and-so is always the first one in and the last one out. They always work extra hours. Look, we understand there's going to be seasons, there's going to be times where we're all a little bit behind and we got to dig in and get the job done, right? This is a role where we're working to get the job done. It's not a role where we're just punching a clock. But we're not measuring you on extra hours or anything like that. We want you to get out of here. We want you to spend time with your family, your loved ones, and enjoy that time. Reset, come back here excited to take care of the great clients that we get to serve. I'll tell you a quick story that I think epitomizes this core value. We had a great team member. She's since moved to a different state, but we had a great team member. Her dream was to go to Hawaii. She saved up for about 3 years, finally saved enough to do a trip to Hawaii. Very excited, takes off on her trip. And I noticed the first 2 days, throughout the day, she's checking her email, responding to emails. And I said to her, hey, you worked so hard to enjoy this trip. Ignore the emails. They're going to be here when you get back. Set that, what do they call it, an autoresponder that says, hey, I'm gone until this date, right? But she kept checking emails. So I went into the system, changed her password so she had no access to her email until she came back that next week. And see, that's really what we're looking for. She worked hard for that trip. She earned every moment of that trip, and I wanted her to have that experience and enjoy that and not worry about what was happening here. We had a great team that was going to cover all of her responsibilities while she was gone. So that's what that first part of respecting the family. We want to respect your time out of here. Now, the second meaning for respecting the family is, how do we approach this Drake and Associates family? How do we respect our team? How do we treat each other? Right? It's tough. I mean, have you ever sat down and thought about the amount of hours you spend with your coworkers? It might even be more time than you spend with your spouse or loved ones, depending on their job or what that situation looks like. It's a tremendous amount of time, and there's going to be moments of friction. So the question is, how do we deal with those moments? Are we a team? Are we a culture that's going to say, hey, I'm just going to go behind a closed door and I'm going to gossip about so-and-so and try to recruit people to what we call the village, right? And I'm going to recruit people and kind of gossip and talk negatively? Or am I going to have the emotional intelligence and the courage to walk to that team member and say, hey, team member, I'm having some challenges with the way you're doing X, Y, and Z, and this is how it's affecting me. And then have the openness to hear them explain why they're doing that. Hopefully they realize they didn't know that they were affecting you in a negative way, and two adults can talk and find a spot in the middle. That's really what we're looking for when it comes to emotional intelligence. How are we going to deal with and address these issues? A couple keys that have worked really well for my career is to have empathy. And this is something that applies not just to your team members, but also to the clients. Oftentimes we have a client that calls in and they sound angry, right? But oftentimes they're really just scared, and it comes across as anger, right? This is all of their money. They may not be financial experts, and they think something's going on or not working right, and it's easy to instead of admitting, hey, I'm scared, it's easier to get boisterous and sound angry. But as teammates, we don't want to do that to each other. If we can approach each other with empathy, realize we all have things going on in our personal lives, and we have no idea what challenges that person is facing. The other key I like to remind people is approach those conversations assuming best intent. I'm going to assume that that team member had the best intent for the client and the best intent for the team, but maybe they missed the mark and we just need to have a discussion on how to make that better. So I'm going to encourage you to have those tough discussions. This is a culture here where we are going to have constructive criticism. And that's part of respecting the family. How can we have constructive criticism? How can we have those tough conversations so we can sort through the problems? Look, we don't have rose-colored glasses. We know issues, tensions are going to come up, but we want to deal with those in a healthy manner. There's some great resources about emotional intelligence. If you'd like to read, I'll get you some of those books. And it's a great talent to learn, not just here at Drake & Associates for your team members, but also for your family and your personal life. We can learn to have those difficult conversations. It's really important. This is a culture of constructive criticism. We have a couple rules when it comes to that. We always do constructive criticism in private, never in public. Praise in public, constructive criticism in private. And it also always has to come from a place where you want to see that person grow and you want to see them get better. But then we're also responsible as team members to accept that constructive criticism, right? That is an investment in my time. If I'm helping somebody, if I'm coaching, mentoring someone on a team, that's an investment of my time so they get better. They stop to receiving that investment. They're not willing to hear it, or they get emotional. They're not willing to work on it, be pragmatic and try to get better. Look, it's not being criticism of you as a person. It's just maybe something you're doing that could be perceived or done in a little bit better fashion, right? So we want this environment where we're respecting each other, we're having empathy, realizing that people are going through things in their lives, and we're assuming best intent. If we can approach that, I think we're going to have an incredible culture that really comes together well. My challenge to you on this core value is to maybe think about a time in a previous spot of employment where you wish you could have talked to somebody sooner, or you could have had an emotionally intelligent conversation to work through something. We all have those stories in our lives, and I think it's important to think about those and learn from those. That concludes our series here on our core values. These are really critical for us. We understand we're moving quickly. We understand we're asking a lot out of you as a team member. In return, we want to create a great career path for you and a great future where you and your family are well taken care of. But I challenge you, come back to these. Talk to your team members about these core values. Talk to your managers. Stop me in the hall or the break room. I'd love to chat about them. Look, we're all trying to get better, including me. Let's stay students of the game. Let's continue challenging ourselves to get better as teammates. And then we're going to be able to serve our community and our clients in a much higher level.